Welcome back to the School Hours CEO podcast. I'm your host, Danielle, and with me today is Mindi Huebner. She is a certified NLP practitioner, clinical hypnotherapist, and subconscious success alchemist who's helped hundreds of high-achieving women rewire their subconscious identity so success finally feels like freedom, which I absolutely love. Mindi's approach is all about trust over tension. No more proving, performing, or pushing through. Just aligned action, deep self-trust, and creating results that feel as good as they look, which is like, hallelujah, 100%. We were just talking about this before we started recording. There is way too much extra perfectionist polishing going on, and we don't need that. So Mindi, I am so excited that you're here today.
Thank you so much. I cannot wait for our conversation because one thing about me is I love to go deep.
I love it. Okay, amazing. Okay, well, let's just like go right into it then. So let's kick it off with, could you just share a little bit about your journey? Like what called you to this work as a subconscious success alchemist, and what was that process?
Honestly, I still remember when the email came and the subject line that literally blew up everything. They were shutting down my division, 17 years of leadership, loyalty, late nights, gone like that. And I wasn't even mad about it. So that gave me a little subconscious clue at the time. For years, I had hustled. We talked before about being type A and recovering perfectionist. Like success equaled productivity. I was only worthy if I was performing all of those things. And what I realized was the deepest root was rest equaled laziness, and slowing down was a weakness. So I know that people are like, oh my gosh, she's speaking my language.
Yes.
Yeah. After the shock wore off, I was like, okay, we have created a very successful business. We can do this again. I dove into NLP, neuroscience, books, courses, all the things, started digging into patterns, and realized that I was really operating on an outdated code, right? Yes. I had been conditioned. And so I rewrote the damn code. And that's what brings me here today. I built the 24 karat experience for clients, and now I am so passionate about helping high achieving women rewire their subconscious identity so that they are leading from that truest version of themselves.
I love that so much. And you are, preaching to the choir. I remember the first time I fully understood that who I was because of what I felt like I needed to do as a child to be that older, because for me, I'm not going to go into the whole thing about me, but long story short, I have a younger sister who needed just a lot more than I did. She was clingier than I was. And then she had a learning disability, and then she had mental health issues, and just so it was just, I'm the easy child, right? So I got good grades because of course I realized, I think a lot of women are going to see themselves in both of our stories. If I got good grades and I stayed out of trouble, then I was pleasing my parents because I wasn't adding to their, their stress. And even as an adult, I find that I caught myself, I couldn't believe that I did this. I caught myself, I was working, but I had stopped to, I don't know, I might have even been dicking around on my phone. I don't even know. But I heard my husband coming and I got quickly back to work. And I thought, oh my God, I'm not 8 anymore with homework that I'm not doing. This is crazy. And I thought, okay, this is that's not good for my nervous system,
Exactly. And that you just hit on 2 key points. First, I want to give you the biggest hug.
Oh, thank you.
Everything in me was like, oh, I just want to give her a hug. Yeah. That performing and what you said about the nervous system. Because here's where just mindset work misses the mark.
Yeah.
Mindset is our relationship with a thing. So we can have a neutral relationship with something. We can have a good or great relationship with something. We can have a less than great or shitty relationship with something, right? Mindset, money, time, people, our worth, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Underneath that is our subconscious identity. And ultimately, it creating the feeling of safety. And you know what it feels like to feel unsafe. You jumped off, you put your phone down, and you started like looking busy.
Right.
Because whether, and I know you know, but whether everyone listening knows or not, subconsciously it didn't feel safe to just be dicking around on your phone.
Right.
And that was old programming, which happens, wanting to pop its head back up again. And the awareness is how you know that you are so much farther ahead on the journey of unbecoming the conditioning, that level of awareness, that hyper awareness of like, wait a minute, I'm not 8. And my husband can go pound sand if he has anything to say about me being on my phone.
No, and that's so true. And oh my goodness, yeah, the safety thing for sure is huge, and all of it. And I think this conversation is so important for moms too, because I mean, I don't know about you, but I did bring that into motherhood too, and I can't, my house needs to be clean and this needs to be done, and I can't have my mother-in-law seeing my kitchen like this, and whatever, and my kid needs to do better than this kid. And I mean, thankfully that part of I didn't inherit that or anything like, but we overachieve in everything that we do. But then from my experience, what happens with the moms is too, they're overachieving, but they're also not really organizing themselves well. They're not really setting their future self up for success that well, because they're not changing who they are. Right. So it's always this like dance that doesn't feel good. Right.
A lot of the moms I know and have worked with, there's this hyper productivity that needs to happen. And that again is like, look, my house is clean and everything's organized. And when they fail at that, because that is not sustainable, hyper productivity, and just how we define productivity, which is a whole nother episode.
This is true. Yes.
Yeah. That's not sustainable. And when we fail, then we get into the negative self-talk, which then reverts us back to it. It's just this cycle that continues to happen because our subconscious operates in pictures and sounds and feelings. The logical conversation is not locking in to the subconscious. You're not 8 anymore, like that conversation, or there is no such thing as a perfect mom, right? Like those types of things. A clean kitchen means you had time to clean the kitchen, and sometimes you don't. That's all a clean kitchen means. There was time and space to clean it up, right?
Right.
It doesn't mean anything about your worth or your value. And we get very tied into that, especially when our identity as a mom is now a box. Because every identity is a role with a goal. The challenge comes in when we get conflicting identities or we get stuck identities. And if we get stuck in mom identity, that is not the same identity that serves us the best as a CEO, as a partner, as a bestie. Like those things don't need mom. They need CEO. They need bestie identity. Every identity is a role with a goal. And when they're conflicting against each other is when we really exhaust ourselves. And I find a lot of moms there. They get into that exhaustion. They're, turning to whatever to cope, like to numb, they're needing caffeine to stay awake. They're starting but not finishing. And that's that self-fulfilling prophecy all the time.
Yes. And what you said earlier about, you personally feeling guilty about, resting and thinking that was, it took me so long, as an overproductive, hyper, whatever, mother and entrepreneur, which I think, I don't know, they seem to attract each other, right? We seem just this type, which is why I think a lot of entrepreneur women, side tangent for a second, a lot of entrepreneur women, they also identify as having or believe they have ADHD. And I was talking to one woman actually who does mental health, and she was like, it's not, she's like, it may very well be, but most of the time it's actually just a dysregulated nervous system. It's not actually ADHD, right? And I've heard somebody else say that ADHD is actually a childhood trauma caused thing. Right. And it's like, that all makes sense of why we end up being the way we are. And this particular generation of us mothers kind of coming to this realization, coming to this awareness, coming to this, like, no, this is not the only way to do this. Let's back up and go, no, I do want success that feels good. And like you say, I've heard you say, you can't out hustle your subconscious. Right. So can you break that down for some moms who are out there right now going, oh my God, yes, like I am doing all the things and I'm busy constantly, but I still feel behind. The laundry's still not getting done. The kitchen is still not clean. My lead magnet is still not out into the world. Like, how break this down for me?
Okay. If you're wired for busy, subconsciously, slowing down will feel unnatural. True productivity, so you just said laundry, putting the freebie out, those things. True productivity is accomplishing the right things in a way that doesn't feel stressful.
Amen.
Okay, that's productivity. And that, like, all the other stuff about more on your plate and this and that, like, that's a lie that we have been sold. So productivity feels hard because we think that means busy. We think it means more things on the to-do list, checking more things off, instead of asking why I can't get all these things done. First of all, this is my little side tangent. The question why is a beautiful question when we're dreaming and scheming and visioning out. Ask all the whys, get 7 whys deep, get so clear, dive into a swimming pool of why. Feel it, taste it, smell it, because you're locking in your subconscious there. Do all the things in the direction of forward progress and what you want ultimately. When it comes to why you're not showing up the way you want to, quit asking why. That question is, you're going to tell a story about, I'm going to invite you to get curious about what happens. I won't tell you to quit asking it. Do a little experiment. I don't like to be told what to do. That's the other oldest daughter thing. But I do love a good suggestion. So I'm going to invite you to notice when you ask why, and you can even test this on your children. When you say, well, why did you do that? Because the first words out of your mouth are because, and then you tell a story. And I'm not saying the story is a bad story. It's a well-rehearsed story, and it's a story in your known zone. So instead, ask a better question and you'll get a better answer. Ask what? What caused me? What makes me think? What am I believing about myself in relation to productivity that I get to change? Because that's where the question is, or success, or getting things done, or whatever it is that we're putting next to it. It's not how can I get more done? It's who do I get to be in order to prioritize the things that truly enrich my life and my children's lives and move my business forward. It's literally asking a better question to start shifting that identity.
Oh, Mindi. Yes. 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 Okay. Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. All of it. So let's talk about the identity shifting then. So why, I'm going to go why is shifting our subconscious identity so critical? Like, just really, for those people who don't maybe, I mean, obviously, if you've been listening to this particular podcast for any amount of time, you should know that I'm a kind of a mix of the woo and the do, right? And so obviously, Mindi, you are too, because we're talking about rewiring our subconscious to change our identity, to change the reality we're living in. But so really, and we kind of already touched on it, but let's just really get into the why this is like, this is the piece. Like, the mindset piece is important. Yes. The productivity. Yes. The time blocking. Yes. But why is shifting our subconscious identity really the key that is going to change everything for especially for moms building businesses also?
Well, like you said at the start, we cannot out hustle our subconscious identity. We can't outperform that. So instead, as we get into, well, what is safe in our subconscious identity? So right now, chaos and busy is safe. for a lot of us, right? This is how we've been conditioned. And so shifting that, number one, the conscious awareness of it, like, oh, when I slow down, I feel like something's wrong. Like I'm going to get in trouble. Like I'm doing this or that. What would it feel like to not think that? What would it feel like to trust myself that I can make a decision about this? What I like to start really building identity-based confidence. And so I call these alchemized affirmations. It's a way to rewire your brain to start creating new neural pathways about who you get to. And I'm going to say become, but truly it's about shedding, right? I'm not encouraging you to be a whole new you. You're perfect. You're amazing. You have everything you need on the inside of you, all the resources, all the tools, including the resource and tools to ask for support, right? All of those things. So what if the first step in shifting your identity and building that confidence was, instead of I need to get things done, I need to do this, which first of all, need feels very heavy to me, right? Like let's start changing those words, and we can talk about that too for really simple shifts really quickly. Instead, what if we leaned into, I'm someone who follows through. I'm becoming someone who follows through with more ease. I'm learning to be the woman who we start then futuring with expansion. Remember, I said, if your identity as a mom has become a box, or just your identity in general has become a box about something, maybe it is about a mom. I can only be a mom in one way. I can only be an entrepreneur in one way. The goal is always expansion. We want more choice, not less. We want to feel expanded, not constricted. And so when we start to shift that, start replacing that pressure with building that identity confidence muscle, then our subconscious will get up, well, because you know how it works. Again, picture, sounds, and feelings in our RAS at the very basic is going to bring us what we anticipate and expect. And so if we're anticipating and expecting that we're becoming, that we're learning, that we have the tools to be this person who taps into rest as a tool, as opposed to a weakness, like the more we give ourselves room to dance, the more dancing we do.
Right. Yeah, I love that. And I love how you were, I'm the kind of woman that does X, Y, and Z, right? Because then, like you said, the RAS, the reticular activating system, we are filtering out things that are in line with what we believe and filtering, bringing to our awareness and filtering out things that don't, which is, where you get bias and all of these things, right?
Yes.
But I love that. I'm the kind of woman that's becoming I'm the kind of woman that has green juice every day. I'm the kind of woman who, does yoga in the morning. I'm the kind of woman who meditates. I'm the kind of woman who's patient with my kids. I'm the kind of woman who finishes what she starts. When we start saying things like that, even if you don't believe it at first, and I really do love the way that you
That's why I do it that way. That's why I do it that way. Yes. So you can stair step it, because some people, every part of their being said, I am not the woman who drinks green juice, Danielle. Right? Like they were like, that's not who I am.
No, but you can can agree that you are becoming that woman. Right?
Yes.
And so I love that, because our subconscious's job, as you know, is to prove us right, is to show us in our reality. I told you we were speaking the same language. Our subconscious's job is to literally present to us in front of us a photocopy of what we believe to be true already about us and the world. And what we believe about the world, like you were saying, in life, business, motherhood, comes back to how we see ourselves. If I'm the kind of woman that succeeds, then I'm going to be more likely to see the opportunities and identify them as the opportunities, rather than here's an example, right? If somebody reaches out to me right now and asks me to be on their podcast, I'm going to be excited about that for multiple reasons. But the person who's not open to the opportunity would see that and go, oh, this is a scam. What do they want from me? This is, you know what I mean, right?
Yes.
So so this work is so important. It really does come down to the identity.
And what you're saying is we're always winning a game we're playing.
Yes, so I love the way you just said that.
Are we playing a game we want to win?
Mm.
Does the game we're playing feel expansive? Does it feel like there's freedom in it? At the top, we talked about success that finally feels like freedom, because that's, you know, the version of success is different to everyone. And so I hear, you know, my copywriters in my head, like, you can't just say success. Like, that's different for everyone.
Right.
And I like, okay, I agree. And feels like freedom. I think everyone then can viscerally go, this is my version of freedom. And yes, that would be success, right? If we're hung up on what does success mean? Well, freedom, time freedom, right? Thought freedom,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
right? Money freedom, financial freedom, those types of things. So we're always winning the game that we're playing. And if you're not sure what game you're playing, check your language. You're going to hear, we think a thought over and over again. It becomes an I am, right? And we create it. It creates emotions and sensations in our body. And then we create habits to prove it to ourselves, because that's how powerful we are.
Yes.
And so if we're consistently saying, I'm a hot mess, I'm a terrible time manager, I'm no good with money, you win, right? We're that powerful, because our RAS is not going to show us the proof of anything else. It's showing us what we say we want. The other thing, our brain deletes, distorts, and generalizes based on our beliefs. There's another filtering system in there to protect us, because what would happen if all the data that's coming at us on a daily basis, we have got to have a filtering system, or we become that exploding head emoji, right? Like not knowing which way to go. We have enough, especially as moms. We're not even going to get started on the mental load and everything else that happens, right?
No.
The last thing we need is a broken down filtering system. So you have a system. This is your opportunity to start switching it to the place that you want it to be, winning the game you want to play. And something that you said when we talked about those alchemized affirmations, I love to stair step like that. So you can lean into the affirmation and lean into it. And then it becomes known, and then you can stretch it some more, you lean into it some more.
Yeah.
I love some of my 3 favorite phrases that I love to share, to just, here's how you start to rewire your brain right now. Instead of saying I should, I have to, I need to, those types of things, especially when we're shitting on ourselves, is really just like a could with shame smeared on it, right? We're really like reinforcing that negative self-talk when we're constantly having that conversation. So instead, I invite people to say, from now on, in the future, and next time.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
All of a sudden now, again, we just opened instead of closed. We just got expansion instead of constriction in, okay, so maybe I didn't show up exactly how I wanted to in that instance. From now on, in the future, next time, I can feel it. I can feel it in my chest, the way it just opens things up. Like, I want to win this game. I want to win this game. And this is how I do it, right? This is how I do it.
It's much more peaceful and expansive. And it really gives you, I mean, well, let's zoom out for a second. When you're doing this kind of work, like you were saying, like awareness is I always say awareness is more than half the battle, because if you're not aware of it, there's no fixing it. You have to be aware of it, and recognize that it's not necessarily what you want. Contrast creates clarity, right? So then it allows you to zoom out and look at what's going on and go, okay, this is feedback. And if you apply that, because how you do one thing is how you do all things, if you apply that in motherhood, in business, in your own, self-care or lack thereof, right? Okay, well, next time, it would have been nice if I made an effort to, if I had an extra hour to have an extra long shower and been able to, do my everything instead of have to just do my quick, because I didn't plan ahead, right? So next time I'll get up a half an hour earlier, or I'll ask, my husband to take care of lunch so that I can skip out or whatever, right?
Yes. And it gets to be the other piece. Sometimes we get so overwhelmed with where to start and what to do and how do I know, and all of those pieces. This is also about those tiny micro shifts.
Yes.
So next time I'll have a snack before I respond. Like it
Yes.
it doesn't have to be, you know, you don't need
Yeah.
3 hours to shift it. It's just that next time I'm going to love myself a little bit better and have a Snickers, like whatever it is, right? I next time from now on, I'm gonna pause. From now on, I'm gonna pause and then say what I think. It gets to be those little micro shifts. That little hinges swing big gates. And so when we do those micro shifts, when we start aligning our subconscious with our conscious, because that's where we miss the mark too, right? Is we say we want these things, and that's why they're not happening in our lives, because consciously 5% of our brain, right? The ant and the elephant, right? The conscious part, the ant is like, I want this, and it's fighting the elephant, which is 95% that's on autopilot. Our subconscious loves the path of least effort, right? It just wants to rinse and repeat. Let's not burn any calories. Let's just do her to stay in the known, to be who she already knows how to be, even if that's not who she wants to be anymore. Right? So that's that combination. That's alignment. The conscious and the subconscious alignment is a gift to you, all of you. And really then, like you said, awareness is literally half the battle.
Right.
Okay, so who am I being right now? Like that's asking, like, who am I being? Who do I want to be? Okay, what would move me forward in flexing that subconscious confidence muscle?
Right. Oh, I love that. Something I say to my clients is I say, are we being old me or new me? Right? Like in this, because if you think about it, well, you've definitely thought about this, but in everybody else listening, if you've ever
I'm always thinking about it.
I'm always thinking about it. Yeah. It's literally all I think about. No. In every instance, like whether it's what to make for dinner, what should I do next, how should I plan my calendar, in every instance where you're given 1 or 2 or 3 multiple choices, it's a gift every single time to choose the new you or the old you, right? Are we up leveling here? Are we choosing what's easy? Are we leaning into what we want? Who are we being, right? That's why, oh God, the identity. So what are the most common subconscious identities that you see that are keeping high achieving women stuck? And how can they start to shift those? I mean, you did touch on how to shift them a little bit already, but
yeah, I would say truly negative self-talk is the root of our self-sabotaging behaviors, right? The subconscious self-sabotaging behaviors. Negative self-talk, I say the root. That is like the seed, the mother. I hate that it's the mother, but it is, because it gives birth to every single other self-sabotaging subconscious behavior comes from, in my experience, negative self-talk. Because then that leads into perfection, and it leads into comparison, and it leads into overworking, over delivering, people pleasing, like all the things, right? That like all of that, our value being tied to what we achieve, or to how productive we are. How many things could we get crossed off our list? How long can we go without sleep? Like the most bullshit things that we have been conditioned to think are somehow a badge of honor. It absolutely infuriates me that, number one, we've been sold this lie. And when I say we, I really mean women. We've been sold this lie, and that getting out of it, that shedding the conditioning is like almost shamed sometimes, because, well, if you're a good mom, then you do it all, and this and that. No, you weren't made to do it all.
Right.
That's not how we're built at all.
No, I don't know if I read it or I heard it, or, I don't know, we're absorbing information all the time. It's hard to remember where everything came from, right? Especially, it's just, anyway, that's a whole different, anyway. So this woman was going on about how, the way we operate as women nowadays is like totally crazy. We used to be in tribes together, and 1 or 2 or 3 women would take the babies, and these moms would go and do this, and these men would go and do that, and the cousins and the sisters, and everybody was helping. And now in 2025, if you don't live just with your partner and your kids in this, big, nice house, and, if you're not constantly busy, then, you're lazy and you haven't earned it, or somebody must have handed it to you, or it's just like, okay, I can't, like, what's that meme that goes, I'm supposed to be at work all the time, but if I'm working, I'm a bad mother, but if I stay home, I'm lazy. And if I'm, if I work out, then I'm self-centered, but if I don't work out, I'm, I don't care about myself.
I don't care about myself.
It's impossible. It's impossible, right?
Yes.
So like you say, we have to get clear on what it is that we want out of our life, and then start to shift our identity to be that person, and be aware of all of these negative things, these programming. I mean, what you were just talking about, the high achieving and that was me 100%. I can see myself in all of that, right? So what role, and you mentioned safety a couple of times. So what role does safety play in the ability to expand or take aligned action? And how can we create safety in our subconscious mind so that it's not this big drastic challenge to feel safe in our everyday?
And when we talk safety, so I want to articulate this clearly, because the safety is like in your known zone. And so when I say known zone, like some people call it comfort zone, but I call BS on comfort, because it's not actually that comfortable there. A lot of times, like, you don't really, like, you just know how to be you there. And right now, some people are listening and they know how to be busy there, and they know how to be chaotic there. And it feels like being less busy is unsafe because they haven't experienced it yet. It's unknown. And so the first invitation is, what if you started focusing on things that allowed you more expansion, and you felt it, like, oh, look at me, I'm actually safe. I have a client who recently has started saying, I did it and I didn't die. Like, this is her. I'm not saying like this is a good thing or a bad thing. She's just started saying this, like, well, I did this and I didn't die. I'm like, okay, great.
It's a good start.
Exactly. Allowing yourself proof to see the ease that the expansion has in this new way of being. And this proof gets to be tiny. It gets to be that time that you sat for 2 hours and read a book, and like you actually felt okay about it, because that can be few and far between when we're a mom in the trenches, right? And so, or you took 15 minutes extra to shower and you weren't rushed, because you have those moments already where there is safety in who you're being when you're like bumping up against the known zone. Tap into them and go, oh, it felt like that. That's what I was thinking, feeling, tasting, smelling. The more that you can recognize those places, the more you can expand those places, because you can lean into them and you can go, oh, look at that. I didn't die, right? I was safe, quote unquote safe, right? We're talking about nervous system safe. It'll start to be like danger when you start to do something out of the norm, when you're laying on the couch and, the dishes are piling up and the this and the that. That is not unsafe. That's just conditioning.
Right.
Yes. And so it's us recognizing the conditioning and saying, okay, how do I get to just push on this a little bit so that I don't feel like I'm taking a huge risk, because not everyone is ready for a huge risk, and you'll get there. And I'm saying huge tongue in cheek too, right? Like actually letting the dishes stay in the sink until the next day, whatever that, wherever we are, right? Like we want to meet people where they're at.
Right.
So really recognizing that you get to trust yourself, and it gets to feel like X, right? Oh, look I experienced it here. I experienced it that one time there. I experienced it here, and start calling it in. Because as you know, our brain is like Velcro for negativity and Teflon for positivity. Like the good experiences they're just gone. And those negative ones, they stick, because our brain hasn't, caught up to today, and we're wired to survive. And so now you get to make a new meaning about survival, like how expansive that gets to be.
Right. And that's, recognizing where it's already happening. You know, I say to my clients all the time too, we are already living our dream reality, but only to the degree that we're allowing it in. And so we have to, like you say, spend more time recognizing where it's, and even if it's only like a small, like for example, if one of my goals, has been one of my goals is to receive some form of payment every single day from somewhere, right? Expected, unexpected, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm still working on that one, but it's like, it's a good one, right?
So success in progress.
But so, yes, exactly. I love that, success in progress. So I had set this in motion and I was like, well, it's not happening. But then I realized that, hang on a minute, I've got, at the time I was doing this offer where I was, you could subscribe to daily affirmations being sent by text message. And so it was $1.11 a week. And so frequently I'm receiving now, $1.11 payments, right? And then I was like, oh, hang on a minute. That's daily payments, right? Like, okay, it's only $1.11, but the vision doesn't have dollar amounts. It's just, it feels good to receive regularly, right? So I thought, oh my gosh. So that's a small, percentage of already living that reality that I want. And then taking the time to recognize that and sit there. I was talking to somebody the other day and she was saying, I thought I didn't get very much done until I sat down to list out what I had accomplished, she was reciting it to somebody in a text message or something and explaining, well, I didn't get this done, but I did do X, Y, and Z. And then she's like, oh my God, I actually got so much done. It just maybe wasn't the things that I feel. And probably, if we're going back to like the root of it, probably the conditioning things, it wasn't enough like productivity things.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And okay. And to be fair, right, we do have to have the conversation about, like you're saying, productivity being things that actually should get done and need to get done versus the things that we're being busy kind of, like, for example, I know that I speak to a lot of mom entrepreneurs who are, I'm busy all the time, but the thing is they're working on things that are not really, they're very much behind the scenes, tweaking things and chat GPTing and all this. And it's like, that's good.
They're staying safe. They're staying safe.
Exactly. So you are busy, but the thing is you're not prioritizing the things that actually we can move. But then again, that's an identity thing, right? If I'm somebody who focuses on, needle moving tasks first, or I'm somebody who what's a simple one? I'm somebody who prioritizes the things that are going to move the needle the furthest for first thing in the morning, so that no matter what happens the rest of the day, and this is actually an identity that I adopted because I realized that if I could get, whether it was fun to do or not, the most important thing done in the morning, then it didn't matter if my son called to come home early from school, or it didn't matter if I forgot, I went to thaw the chicken and realized I forgot the, side dish, and I got to run to the store or whatever, whatever. That's a whole different planning issue, but you see what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's a concept of eat the frog, right? Like do that thing first so that the rest is gravy. Right. The rest does feel like icing. If that works for you, if there's a big thing every day that's going to move the needle in that way. Something that you said about the $1.11 payments coming in as well. You said it feels good to receive. I'm going to do you one bigger. It's safe to receive every day, because that's the other thing. Yeah. So we say we want money every day. Are we putting systems in place to receive money every day? Because we could say we want it. Here we are subconsciously misaligned. If it doesn't feel, because then who will I be? I just had this conversation in a mastermind I'm in. Who will I be if I'm making exorbitant amounts of money? Right? Like, what will people want it from me? Will I be able to keep it? Like, all of these questions start coming. Is it safe to receive money every day? Like, I get to be the woman who, yes, it is safe to receive a lot of money every day from expected and unexpected sources, right? For my highest and best.
Yeah, that is such an important conversation. And we may even have to do another episode on it because I think, well, I have two kind of avenues to go with this. First one is my family and I were living in Nicaragua for about a year and a half ago. And it was an amazing experience. But I realized after getting home that I was in fight or flight mode the entire time we were living there. Okay. I didn't realize this until, like I said, until we got home, but I was scared. It's a third world country. English is not their first language. We were relying solely on my business and the money we had saved up from the things we sold to move. Cause of course we didn't know. Anyway, it's a whole thing. Anyway, and I had this epiphany while we were there. I wasn't able to do anything about it because I didn't feel safe in my nervous system, but I had an epiphany that I can manifest, 10, 20, 30, 40K months, all I want. But if I don't have the system set up to have the universe support, I haven't given the universe enough avenues to bring it to me, right? Like that's a misalignment in what you say you want versus what you want, right? And then the second avenue I wanted to go down, which kind of continues on that same conversation, is my parents and my parents-in-law, who we're very close with, have great relationships with everybody. It's fantastic. But they are very like employee mindset, work hard, 40 hours a week. And of course, I mean, let's not even get into it, but the whole school system is set up to program you this way.
To do that. Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So like you're saying about feeling safe to receive a lot of money, like for the kind of work that you and I do, it's very possible that the universe is going to bring us all kinds of ways to make income when we're not actually sitting at our computer.
Right.
So I had to kind of make peace with the fact that I deserve to, and it's safe to receive money while I'm floating on the pool drinking a mojito, right? Because the good that I'm putting out into the world and the service that I'm providing and the help that I'm,
the
you
ripple,
as well, right?
The
difference that we're making, the ripple effect, exactly, the ripple effect. I use that term all the time. The ripple effect that we're creating, the equal and opposite of that, the compensation the universe is giving us for that is this beautiful, peaceful life that allows us to do what we want to do when we want to do it, with who we want to do it with, whenever we want to do it with them. And sometimes that's sitting at my computer working, maybe recording a podcast episode like this. But I don't know, you can tell I love this. This is fantastic. Yeah. This is a great conversation, right? So feeling safe in receiving more than our parents and parents-in-law have, while doing less, well, on a time scale, doing less.
Right. Yes.
But we have to remember that service can be compensated, should be compensated. Amanda Francis says, my work is of high service and, worthy of massive compensation. And that's the payoff of doing this great work and spreading this ripple effect, is that we get to receive more than our ancestors have while doing less. And I say it in air quotes for those listening on the podcast, because we're doing a lot.
Yeah, well, doing it different. What could we agree to say doing it different?
Yes, I would. I like
some
that.
Of it, some of it is not less.
No, this is okay. Yes, fair.
Yeah, and it's different though. Yeah. And when we really tap into that alignment and that understanding of who we are being when we're at our highest, and what that version of us, what that schedule looks like, what kind of food she eats, what her sleep looks like, it actually could turn into less when we're really
dialed it in.
Yeah, exactly. When we're completely dialed in. Yes. Then it's just a little bit of tweaking here and there. If I'm feeling like I want people to be really clear about this in case there's any. So I have a health coaching certification as well. I'm a certification collector. I'm a Manigen 1-3. So I love to go deep.
I'm a 1-3 manifester. Oh my God.
I love to investigate. I want to know all the things. I tested all out on myself, right?
I love it.
I'm a certification collector. I just want to know all the stuff, to have a million tools in my toolbox to serve. And I remember when I got my health coaching certification, and this is so clear in everything. Every woman that came to me wanted to lose weight. And they didn't feel safe to not be the girl who weighed XYZ, because then who would they be?
Right.
If I'm not, and these are not my words, these were their words. If I'm not the fat one, if I'm not the chubby one, if I'm not the right, like I just want people to have a really clear picture of this.
Mhm.
Who will I be?
Yeah.
Anybody you freaking want to be, right?
Yes.
Like that's we get really conditioned into who we are,
Mhm.
so that being anyone else feels really scary. It's because it's unknown. Until the pain of the known is more than the pain of the unknown, we will not make the move. And this is an opportunity to ask yourself, like, what identity am I telling myself is safe? That's actually, I've outgrown it. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't me anymore. It's not safe. It's actually stifling everything that I want. When we start
Yes.
asking, here we are back at the quality of the questions, right?
Yeah.
Like, when we start asking a better question, we get a better answer for
Yes.
ourselves.
I love that. I love that. And this is a completely kind of unrelated example, but the same. I grew up, and somewhere along the line, I developed a fear of clowns. And honestly, I don't even know if it was just because my friend was afraid of clowns. And so I decided I was afraid of clowns too. Like, honestly,
Sure.
I don't know. Because I don't really think I had any kind of trauma. And it doesn't matter. Anyway, several years ago, my mom was making some joke about it. And I was like, I don't think I am afraid of clowns anymore. And she's like, oh, no. And I was like, no, I just kind of decided I just wasn't afraid of clowns. And same with, like spiders and bugs and stuff. I mean, also living in the jungle will do that for you.
I'm sure.
Exposure therapy, right? But, I said to my son this morning, there was a big spider in the bathroom. And he was like, oh, this, names this girl in his class. She'd be squealing and across. I was like, well, your Nana would be levitating across the house already, right? And I said, I was like, I used to be afraid of spiders too, but I realized that I was only afraid of spiders because I was taught to be afraid of spiders.
Mm.
And then, my husband and I start dating, and he is the cup over and the paper and the take it outside, right? And I still do not want them on me
Exactly.
at all. If it gets out of the cup, I will be upset. But I'm okay putting it in the cup myself and taking it outside myself, and all that, right?
Yes.
And and this morning that I couldn't find the spider to put the cup over him, and I was okay with that. But years ago, I would have been like, oh, I don't know where it is. I'm freaking out, right? And it's like, but I learned that was an identity that I had adopted because I was trained to, and then told, and then enforced that I was afraid of spiders.
Well, and I love
Right?
that you brought that up. And no shade or shame to parents or parental figures. Like, I hope that we're all doing the best we can with the tools we have, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it happens. Like, so what we get to do moving forward with that is, like, your words are your wand. What you are speaking over people manifests. And so what are you speaking? Because you're speaking it to yourself, and that's usually the first place, like we talked about negative self-talk,
Right.
that is that you are doing that self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
And the moment that you're aware of the negative self-talk, that shift is going to be massive in shifting your identity. Because the mom who is at ease, right? She's not hustling harder. She's trusting her instincts. She's prioritizing what matters. She's releasing the pressure to do it all, because there's no such thing. Like, there's no, yes, we can have it all after we've gotten really clear about what all actually means to each of us individually. And for me, right, like, all is lots of white space, definitely time to work out. I want to be able to have my coffee in silence in the morning. I want, like,
while it's still hot.
Yeah, I mean, the all, all is subjective.
Yeah.
And that doesn't, it's not the Barbie that, because you were basically quoting the Barbie movie, right? It's not that if I work out, then I'm this, and if I do this, that's not all. That's someone else's idea of all, and we get to just burn that down and say what would feel expansive to me, and that gets to shift. Because now I'm a mom of big kids, adults, and I have granddaughters, and so my all looks very different now than it did when I had kids at home.
Right.
And for every season, our all gets to change, and that's beautiful. Like, that's what expansion is, and that's what evolving truly is.
Yeah. Yes, I love it. So I am sure by now people listening are going, how do I get more of this woman? She is amazing. So you have a signature experience, the 24 karat life.
Yes.
And you told me that it's all about helping women embody their most authentic selves and align their subconscious with their next level of success,
Yes.
which is beautiful. And yes, I am behind it. I do the same with my clients. I love it. So can you tell us more about what that experience looks like and how it helps women create the kind of results that feel like that true freedom and not just more and another to-do list?
Yeah, exactly. It will, like you said, first of all, it raises massive awareness. As I said, I'm a certification collector, I'm a modality collector. So I love to reach into my tool belt for clients and have some foundational sessions with them. One is where we clear things out subconsciously, we release base emotions. We do another, I'm a clinical hypnotherapist. So we do another session where we plant into our subconscious the things we want to grow, right? And then we have strategy and alignment so that what we say we want and how we're actually showing up, we see the path to that for ourselves.
Right.
And then to keep that momentum going, I see my clients in laser coaching sessions. So 20-minute sessions, unlimited, to keep that alignment, that momentum. My favorite sessions are when they come and go, everything's amazing. I'm celebrating this and I want to keep being this woman. Like, put some magic on this. What can we do to turn up the volume?
Yeah.
Right? Like, because that happens all the time too. My work is not about anyone being broken, becoming a completely different human. You are smart. You are a success in progress already. This is about releasing the conditioning and really tuning into your authentic self. It is about knowing what success actually gets to look like, feel like, taste like, smell like for you, so that you're casting those votes on a regular basis. I have a gift of listening to people speak and hearing their limiting beliefs immediately and knowing how to just go right in, like with precision, and say, okay, here's the mirror. Let's rework this. Let's rewire this. Let's dig this out. Let's get to the bottom of this and move forward. And that is it. And it is a gift for me and for my clients because it makes things happen so quickly. A 24 karat life is your life with freaking gold sparkled all over it. Like, right? Like you already said, you're already living that reality. Like, let's turn up the volume on it. Yeah. Like let's make it so that it gets to feel like you want it to.
Yes. Oh, I have chills. I love it so much. So anybody who is like totally, where do I click? I'm going to leave a link down. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the description box. And if you're listening on the podcast, it'll be in the show notes because you're definitely going to want to hear more from Mindi because she's amazing. I'll also leave links about all the places you can find her and follow her and check her out. And Mindi, this has been just absolutely phenomenal. This is amazing. I thank you so much for your time and all of the amazing wisdom you bestowed upon us today. If there's just one kind of final mindset shift or just like little something that we can leave the ladies listening with, what do you want to leave them with?
I want to remind them that you are so powerful that you are always winning the game you're playing. You are this powerful. So harness that power for what you want it for, because you're completely capable and you are so freaking worthy of it.
Yes, I love that. Oh, beautiful. Okay. Thank you so much for spending this time with us, Mindi. I so appreciate it. And for everybody listening, I hope it's been valuable. I mean, I know it's been valuable to you. So I would love it if you would leave us a comment or a review and let us know what you think and reach out to us on all the social medias and we will get back to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.